I want to take you now back a year to last summer's Operation Protective Edge. The IDF Widows and Orphans Organization, IDFWO, is the only organization recognized by the State of Israel as representing the relatives of Israel's fallen soldiers. The organization provides social, emotional, and financial support to some 5,000 widows and 2,500 children. Last summer, during Operation Protective Edge, IDFWO embraced 11 widows and 26 young children who suffered the greatest loss of all. It does its best to provide strength to the women and children and even bring back smiles to their faces. I'd like to call up the chairman of the IDFWO, Nava Shoham Solan, as we watch a film.
In that moment of tragedy, we are there to point the way back to the light, with a helping hand, embracing and supporting. Not to forget, but to do whatever we can to lead from darkness to a new dawn. A new day for the children, our heart and soul, in journeys and fun camps where happiness soothes the pain. On cycling trips, sharing the sunrise, in activities filled with laughter and hope, and wonderful journeys abroad, with unstoppable smiles shared with friends. And moments like this, a bar mitzvah at Jerusalem's Western Wall, surrounded by prayers and love, together with mothers, brothers, and sisters, together with this unique organization, the IDF Widows and Orphans Organization, with everything large and small that makes us feel good, with university scholarships and financial assistance to those in need, with special events for our Army recruits, and with all our heart, remembering the fallen, the country Father loved and gave his life for, the country that embraces us back and says, "We are with you, part of you. Let everyone know you are headed toward the light, forever in our hearts." And let us pray together that this wonderful organization will never need to grow.
They do wonderful work, and I'm going to call up Nava shortly to present a special honor to an IDF officer who served bravely in Operation Protective Edge. But before we do that, Dr. Moti Klein is the head of intensive care at Soroka University Medical Center in Beersheba, which provides top-class care to some 1 million people who live in southern Israel, and it played a critical role in treating the wounded in last summer's conflict against Hamas. Dr. Klein is also the chairman of the Israeli Society of Critical Care Medicine. His talk is entitled, "Israel's Medical Iron Dome, Saving Lives Under Fire." Dr. Klein.
Thank you for your words. Soroka Medical Center in Beersheba City serves today more than 1 million people living in Beersheba area. It is only one level 1 trauma center in that area, a fact which creates huge challenges and responsibilities in routine, but especially in emergencies. Over the past 15 years, the hospital got its good reputation in dealing with medical aspects of terror events, military conflicts, and of course, high amount of trauma cases. This unique hospital is changing in shape continuously in order to be ready and prepare for the next to come. 3 prolonged wartime situations, Operation Cast Lead, Operation Pillars of Defense, and Operation Protective Edge had different scenarios and threats, which forced us to change plans, fortifying building and creating different standards of decision-making. The last operation, just last summer, was the most complicated one to deal with. High number of missiles, targeting Beersheba area and my hospital itself. And the IDF decision to go for ground-based operation could result in high numbers of wounded. There were few main issues needing relevant perspective during the operation. Those perspectives, 8 perspectives, which I myself ask myself every morning if I'm ready. Be prepared for any mass casualty event without any prior notification. You arrive to a hospital every morning to work, to help, knowing that you may not find your home as one piece at the end of the day. Your closest relatives are now serving in the army, in the battlefield, and may arrive to your hospital, to your hands, as wounded. Many areas in our working place are not protected and are not safe, not for us nor for my patients. You must continue to supply standard medical service to your area because war doesn't stop medical needs. You must be ready to work alone and harder in tough conditions because you would probably prefer to send your best colleagues, excellent staff, to help the wounded soldier at the battlefield itself in the right time. That for sure will improve their chances to survive. The unlimited unity and empathy of the Israelis, it's a very famous, in wartime will bring many to hospitals trying to support the wounded, families and staff at these tough times. You must understand, accept, and continue your work in that strange environment. Use the rest of your energy to be creative leader that must support your own people physically and mentally. We had to hear only the first siren indicating that missiles are in their way to Beersheba. Then we start to transfer units like our neonatal intensive care unit from unprotected to protected spaces. We opened day camps in protected areas for children of staff. We made sure to prepare enough teams on call in-house to deal with any possible scenario, including the need to perform surgeries on a large number of parallel of wounded without advance notice. And I'm going to tell you the few stories about how we did it. In one instant, we knew about helicopter bringing 5 severely injured. It landed at Soroka, as was planned. But 10 minutes later, a second helicopter landed without any prior notice, bringing an additional 6 severe wounded soldiers. That second helicopter really had been on its way to the center of Israel. It was planned to go there, but it was 20 minutes flying time. It landed at Soroka emergently because the soldiers' condition couldn't bear the additional minutes. There is no doubt that the physical presence of high-level senior surgical teams at Soroka made it possible to deal with this most difficult multiple casualty war event. Our new ICU, equipped with the state-of-the-art medical equipment, was opened just 6 months before the operation. Every one of the ICUs, the 6 ICUs rooms, was planned to be immediately converted into operating room as necessary. You know, as distinguished from care in emergency room or in the operating room, care in the ICU or life in ICU may last for days, weeks, and sometimes even months. This, of course, creates vital challenges for us, both medically and no less significant on human and emotional level as well. Over the years, we have learned to face these challenges, but every time they are different because every time there is a different human story of patient and family, and that makes the whole difference. As soon as the name Operation Protective Edge was given, some of our nurses were called up to active duty to the Army. We checked and rechecked the equipment just to be sure that everything will go okay. Two of my best intensive care doctors were sent to battlefield to guarantee the immediate highest level of knowledge and skills. The first to arrive was a soldier named Ohad, a 20-year-old soldier with severe brain injury. A huge piece of shrapnel penetrated his forehead just under his helmet. While his parents were in their way to Soroka, he was operated twice within 6 hours and had a life-saving surgical procedure on his bedside, as we planned. I met his parents at 3 in the morning and gave them update about his condition. Ohad's mother smiled, and she told me that her son was made of special tough stuff. I told her we do everything possible to keep her son alive. We didn't speak that night about returning to consciousness. That night, after 2 brain surgeries, he didn't look like anything recognizable. Only his fingerprints physically connected him to his parents. In one of the nights, Ohad's mother told one of the nurses that Ohad has tickets to a performance of Shlomo Artzi, the famous Israeli singer. Our nurse put that information on her Facebook. The next day, Shlomo Artzi appeared silently at Ohad's bedside without any prior notice. Ohad was still unconscious. Shlomo tried to sing to him, but the only sound he could make was only a soft cry. After 2 weeks, we cautiously began to speak about Ohad regaining his consciousness. And after 2 more weeks, just before leaving the unit, I went just to say a regular goodbye to the wounded. Ohad was full conscious, breathing on by his own, smiled at me, and waved goodbye when I told him that I was going home. Meanwhile, the families began to arrive, chefs, entertainers, ministers, members of the Knesset, and more. The famous chef, Chaim Cohen, came to cook hamburgers for the soldiers, family, hospital staff. He never expected, of course, that the soldiers for whom he was cooking would be those who were severely wounded. Just at that time, Shai, a 20-year-old soldier, severely wounded in his neck and legs, who had been anesthetized for the past 3 days, woke up. I asked Shai if he was in pain and what he most wanted. Well, his answer was, I want a hamburger. 20 minutes later, Chef Chaim Cohen walked into his room carrying a fresh gourmet hamburger and served chai. A lot of crying was there, but after both of them stopped crying, Shai succeeded to eat with a great appetite. I, of course, was crucified by my colleagues for daring to give food to a patient who just woke up from general anesthesia, but you know, the criticism was stopped immediately when everybody saw how much joy is in Shai's face. There were also sad and difficult moments that caused different kind of tears. 2 of our wounded soldiers in the unit didn't make up and they didn't survive. All of our toughest and most hardened staff stood and cried with the families. You know, the families had no complaints. They knew that their sons had fought for the just causes and received the most professional and dedicated care that it was possible to give that time. I set up a psychological intervention to the staff because I knew we were only in the beginning of the campaign and that we had the difficult days and sights ahead of us. Of our 700 wounded treated at Soroka Medical Center, our intensive care unit treated 32 severely wounded in critical condition. This, of course, in addition to also caring for other civilian wounded. 2 of them didn't survive. All others were discharged to another hospital and department in good condition or to rehabilitation programs. This was really a good reason to be proud of our medical Iron Dome. Last week, we heard about more missiles coming to our area. Luckily, there were no victims, no wounded, but the threat is there. And Israel's strategic, unreplaceable medical center must keep strong for the years to come. Thank you very much.
We're just going to see a short film.
שנינו נעים בין אהבה לבין בריחה בנסיעות הארוכות הייתי שר לה האם על מה שבאמת קרה לך עומדים על שביל חיים חוזרים הביתה שים לב הטוב מגיע
It is now our honor at the Jerusalem Post to recognize a true Israeli hero, a top officer who fought bravely in Operation Protective Edge. His name is Lieutenant Colonel Meir El-Malam, and as Deputy Commander of the Paratroopers Brigade, he led his troops into Gaza, playing a vital role in the IDF's grueling mission to locate and destroy cross-border terror tunnels used to attack southern Israel and to halt the constant rocket fire. The mission was a success, but of the 65 soldiers killed during the 50 days of fighting, 10 were from the Paratroopers Brigade, and 120 others were wounded. 5 paratroopers received citations for their bravery. El-Malam, who is 38 years old, lives with his wife and 3 children in Modi'in. He has served in a range of top positions in the IDF, including the Paratroopers Operations Officer during Defensive Shield in 2002, Deputy Commander of the Elite Unit 101 during the 2006 Second Lebanon War, and he will soon become Commander of the Eilat Brigade, and we wish him well in this new position. To present him with an award for his heroism, we have Dr. Klein and Nava, please come with the award. Lieutenant Colonel Meir El-Malam.
Good afternoon, and thank you very much. I'm very excited to be here with you in the annual conference of the Jerusalem Post, representing the men and the women of the Paratrooper Brigade at Tzanchanim. It's such a great pleasure to be able with you today and thank all of you on my behalf and on behalf of my soldier for the unconditional support we receive from you and for the award of a bravery. As you can see, the fact that I'm speaking here right before lunch shows how brave paratroopers are. I was born and raised in the city of Carmiel in the north of Israel, very close to the border with Lebanon. After graduating high school, at the age of 18, I joined the IDF and volunteered to serve in the Paratrooper Brigade, the brigade of Ariel Sharon, Mota Gur, Moshe Ya'alon, and many others. The brigade that actually 48 years ago liberated the old city of Jerusalem and allowed all of us to return to the Kotel. I'm proud to be the deputy commander of this glory brigade. The paratroopers were young men and women from all over Israel were young Jewish men and women from the communities around the world come to volunteers, where young non-Jewish Israeli men volunteer to protect our beloved state of Israel. During Operation Protecting Age, we had to fight Hamas, who once again used all of financial support it received for terrorism and not for the betterment of its people. Hamas, in recent years, had to create a system of tunnels to infiltrate Israel and kill Israeli civilians. Tunnel that had entry point inside of civilian home in Gaza and an exit inside Israel, where it would be easy for them to surprise kids going to school or their parents on the way to work and kill them or take hostages. During Operation Protective Age, we had to fight above and underground. Inside densely populated area, we had to protect Israeli citizens, we had to protect ourselves, but we also had to protect Palestinian citizens as well. Because as Hamas fires rockets on Israel, it systematically exploits Palestinian civilians as a human shields. Hamas positioned its rocket launching sites, weapon cages, and command centers in areas surrounded by civilian buildings and stores explosives and weapons in and around schools, mosques, residential homes, and other civilian infrastructures. We had to be very careful, and it was very demanding from our soldiers who risked their lives so that Palestinian kids will not pay with their lives for the wrongdoing of their leadership. We had to fight our enemy while trying to protect its own people. Our soldiers faced the challenge with bravery and determination. Your acknowledgement today is a great support for all of us, and I am here to thank you on their behalf of your ongoing support and friendship. I also promise you on their behalf that the Paratrooper Brigade will continue to serve our beloved country and protect the people of Israel. Thank you very much.